In a world where fear and excitement collide, there exists a community like no other. Welcome to a realm where horror enthusiasts unite, celebrating the spine-tingling tales that keep us on the edge of our seats. I invite you to ask yourself, what made you first fall in love with horror in the new paranormal? From the classic monsters that haunted our childhood dreams, to the modern-day nightmares that push the boundaries of our imagination, horror fandom is a captivating journey into the unknown. It is a place where adrenaline rushes and heart-pounding suspense become a shared experience. And who best to share this experience with other than my guest for today, horror fanatic Phil Faiss. Phil, let's begin with a lightning round. Favorite movie?
My favorite movie.
Phil? Phil? Ugh, even in the afterlife the Wi-Fi sucks. Phil! Welcome back! Just to prove that my Wi-Fi here in the new paranormal totally crapped out on me, I printed an outage report from my internet provider. Would you like to take a gander?
I don't really need to see it. I trust what you do with it.
Very well. Let's continue with a lightning round. Favorite movie?
My favorite movie is Romeo and Michelle's high school reunion.
I'm the Mary. You're the Rhoda. Favorite Halloween candy?
Anything sour. The more tart, the better.
Tart is my jam. Where did you go on your last vacation?
Disneyland. I don't really travel that much.
Anaheim, loving that for you. One language you'd like to master?
I'd like to master Spanish. I took several years of it in high school, and yo entiendo un poquito de español.
Me gusta! What were you afraid of as a child?
I used to have nightmares about mannequins for some reason. And maybe this has something to do with my sexuality, but I would go to bed at night as a child and I would have these horrible nightmares about, the beautiful model-like mannequins that you see in department stores.
One of my annoying friends is a one-legged mannequin. I just can't stand her. Now, Phil, let's get into the meat and potatoes of this interview. And while we wait for it all to cook, I want to ask you, why horror? What is it about this genre that you're attracted to?
I was introduced to horror films at a very young age by my father, who was fascinated with the genre. And his idea of a great time was inviting friends over, and he would often play Halloween. This was like the early 80s, late 70s, and it had come to home video, and he would play it, or at the very least the opening scene, which is very violent, and he wouldn't tell me to go to my room or hide my eyes. He would just play it and laugh. He got such joy out of people being terrified. I don't know, it was just some weird,
what an unusual
how do you
kink
describe
that
it?
is.
Kink that he but I was very kind of scarred by that, and I carried that with me my whole life. But now as an adult, I love horror, much like he did. I don't know how to describe it. He was kind of distant and closed off, but when I would visit him or talk with him, I knew that I could rely on his fascination of horror movies to be kind of a point of discussion between us. So I would stay abreast of everything horror related. So when I would visit him, or we would go to the movies together, often the movie of choice was a horror movie. So we kind of found this way to connect in an unusual way, if you will.
Do you have a favorite horror icon? Is it the guy on your shirt? By the way, I once found a shirt that says, "I see dead people," but I can't wear it because it only fits mediums. Anyway, favorite horror icon?
I become fascinated by the tropes of horror, and I am in love with the idea that there are these oftentimes strong female leads. So, who's iconic to me are the Nancys and the Laurie Strodes, not so much the villains. I mean, they have a lot to like about them. If I do like any of them, I think Jason comes to mind. However, in those movies, what is often applauded survivor of them, it's often a woman who helps everyone to free themselves of the terror, herself and possibly others. And I just think, I don't know if that's intentional or if it's just a trope that works, but I think it really speaks to empowerment of women and giving them some sort of place in the zeitgeist, whereas before maybe they weren't so much in film.
Is there a horror movie out there that's really impacted your life, your worldview?
I don't know if it affected my worldview so much, but I remember being really taken with the movie Insidious. When the first film came out, they just did a lot of creative things to create an atmosphere with the what is the area that they call where all the spirits live?
The
further.
Ooh.
And again, a strong female character with Elise, the medium, who keeps going with the, they always are in the further with their handheld light making device and they're scoping things out. But again, a strong character who can relate to the spirits and herself is going through some trials and tribulations. So I thought they did, I think it was James Wan who was one of the creative forces behind that.
What is your opinion on remakes?
Thank you for asking. I know horror fans are often up in arms about remakes, but I'm always open to people taking or creators taking new creative spins on horror franchises. I think there's opportunity to create something for modern audiences because, I mean, we have to be real. I mean,
You're telling me we have more to fear in the non-fantastic, non-supernatural happenings in our lives, like phishing email scams and homeowners associations.
the films of yesteryear that are 10, 20, 30 years old or more, I mean, granted, they have impact today and they've lasted as long as they have because there's something unique about them. But I dare say that there are people, in their 20s or 30s, younger than I, that are seeing those films and perhaps aren't quite as fascinated by them as they would be, say, I was a huge fan of the movie Host, which was a bunch of people hosting a seance in a Zoom meeting, much like this. And I thought, that's great. Modern audiences will eat this up. And I adored it. Black Christmas has had several remakes. I love the original.
1974's Black Christmas, considered the first North American slasher movie.
And then speaking of female empowerment, the third one really focused on that in the retelling of Black Christmas, and that it barely resembles the original.
Yeah, the 2019 Black Christmas didn't really slay in the quality department. But what do I know? I'm just a ghost who in his past life thought The Mighty Ducks was the scariest movie he'd ever seen. Anyway, how do you see horror evolving in the future?
I think horror delivers best when...
When? When what? Phil! Not the Wi-Fi again! My friends, we lost Phil. But I do appreciate you helping me celebrate the thrill, the creativity, and the profound impact that horror has on our lives. I must ghost you for now. Until next time. Goodbye.
Survive. That's my message to you. My name is Phil. I'll be here all week.